I pickpocket the king. Yes. Yes, I know that we're at his coronation. I'm going to sneak up and I'm going to pretend to trip over the carpet that he's standing on. And as I'm falling, I'm going to try and take the crown off his head because I can, and I've got a skill high enough to do it. Oh, yeah, I know there's lots of guards everywhere. Yeah. Not a problem. It's not something that I don't care about that. Yeah, sure. Fine, whatever. I'm just going to disappear. Then they can't see me. And then I'm going to escape. So I'm just going to steal the crown right in front of him. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Hello, and welcome to this episode of How to Be a Great Player. My name is Guy, and today we're talking about chaotic stupid. Now, by stupid, I mean individuals who are taking the game on the mechanical rails rather than taking the game as a story. Now, they are both, yes, important to role-playing. We need the mechanics to tell us how we can tell our stories. There is a framework that those mechanics allow us to do. However, when we allow our own internal mechanics to get in the way of everybody else's fun, to break the world setting, that's chaotic stupid. When we make decisions that you go, well, why would you do that? Why would your character possibly do that? And your fallback is, oh, because that's how he is. You mean he is completely and utterly irresponsible and just submits to anything that's just crazy? Yeah. Right. Good. I kill your character. Why not? My characters are irresponsible too. Just cut your head off. Yeah. Whatever. Chaotic stupid is the type of play where you have people creating loner characters. Oh, I'm going to create a loner character. He doesn't want to work with anyone. And unless they all grovel and bow down to me, I'm going to leave. Yeah. So I'm going to create a character that basically is going to do his own thing. Not use any other players. Because he's independent. You know, he's this lone survivor. Yes, he is. At a different game, not mine. So chaotic stupid is a frustrating approach to playing, where the player has no agency over the character, and the character defines and determines how the player plays the game. It's a little bit crazy. It's like putting a computer game on and then just standing back and saying, well, if the character needs to get food in the game, the character should walk to get the food, because it's not me, the player, who's playing. I'm an observer, really. I'm sitting here watching. It's not my choice. I don't have any agency here. Nope, none whatsoever. You may have detected that this is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. So let's just unpack that pet peeve of mine and see if you share it, or if perhaps you might just be a chaotic stupid player. So chaotic stupid, their immediate fault. Oh, it's my character. My character would do that. He was raised a thief, you see. So he's always going to steal. No, he's not always going to steal. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I drive a car, but I'm not going to drive the car all the time. And if there's someone who's better at driving it, then I'm going to let them do that. But I'm also not going to say, oh, well, I drive the bus into the building. That is the exact opposite of what I was doing. A thief who has been raised a thief all their lives means that they have survived. They have been smart enough to know when to steal and when not to steal. Players who've got characters that have the sleight of hand option and who, oh, I just pickpocket. But he's an ally. He's just offered you a quest. Why would you want to possibly steal from that character? Well, I'm a thief. My character's a thief and I have no agency. I can't choose a thing. I don't have any power. Absolute and utter rot. You are the player. You control how that character works. And by just defaulting back to saying, well, it's what my character would do, is pretty shallow thinking, in my opinion. I'm being quite harsh here because this is what I feel. Oftentimes characters are created and you go, well, that just doesn't make any sense. What were you thinking here? Oh, you weren't. Oh, my scores. It's my scores. My score's an 8, so my character's a complete idiot. Depending on the scale of what those scores might mean, yes, you may have a character who has been unfortunately not blessed with the gene pool of a genius, but rather they're at the shallow end. Mixed that metaphor up, didn't I? The idea of relying on your scores. Yes, it's important to look at those values and to derive the character based on those values, or the values based on the character you created, however you create your characters. They should not, however, act as limitations. They should act as guidelines. So your character is not that smart or is statistically below the average. Unless they have the mentality of someone who is prepubescent, there is a certain amount of control and understanding that has happened regardless of how unintelligent that character is. They need to have some sense of the world. It's not just, oh, well, my intelligence is only 28%, so no, I shoot him because I'm not smart enough to think of anything else. No, the player is not smart enough to think how a character might respond in that situation. And yes, go, all right, they have a limited reasoning capacity. They're not educated. They're not a fay with tactics. What is their best call of action? They are unsure what to do here. They're not going to fly into a rage. They're not a rager. Maybe if they are, they fly into a rage and they charge forward because of limited thinking, etc., etc. But if they are unsure of themselves, they might wait for the one who is smart. They might defer to the one who is, always reading and stuff, and turn to them and watch what they're doing first. So a smart player looks at how to take the character and use those numbers to still tell a good story. Imagine now the scenario. I don't know what to do. Okay, I've just charged and hit it. You haven't been violent before. Why are you being violent now? Oh, I got confused because I've got low intelligence. Sure, okay, that's one way of playing it. The other way of playing it is I turn and I look to Nicola. She's the smart one. She'll know what to do. Nicola, what do we do? That creates a much more interesting space. The player of Nicola has now just had vindication as to why they are being laboured with the responsibility of doing all of the thinking, and they are now bolstered by it. It also means, hopefully, that there will be reciprocity later on, where the character and player of Nicola then turn and say, well, actually, Vic, you're the muscle here. You're good at lifting things. How would you solve this? It's an interesting dynamic that's created rather than just I go hit it because I'm stupid. Doesn't make sense in my opinion. Oh, my character knows what they're doing. I don't. I'm not. What? Okay, there are some issues that need to be dealt with here. Role-playing is not where you cease to exist and someone else exists. That is sublimation method acting. That's not role-playing, and that's not what we're looking for at a role-playing table. So saying, oh, well, my character would do this. No. You as the human are choosing what your character is doing. The other things, extremophile mechanics. Well, my skill is so high that mechanically I can't fail. So, yes, I steal the crown off. What? You're giving me how many penalties? Fine. I've got so many things loaded in my favour that I just can't fail. So the world now breaks. Quite literally, the world now breaks. If a character can steal the crown off the head of the monarch whilst they're being coronated, and this has never happened in one of my games because it wouldn't, but if that is the case, there would be someone who sees what's going on. And yes, there's elaborate illusions. And if there is a case where they've set up a false front so that it looks like it's the monarch, but it's actually a fake monarch and it's a fake crown whilst the real monarch is being held up and her crown is being stolen, that's a different story. That is a very interesting story and a much more complicated story than just, well, because my stats are so high, there's no penalty you can give me that I can't not do it. Yes, it requires miracle. I have miracle level. Look, miracle level. Quite clearly it says there, miracle level. I am a god. I can do whatever I like. Yes, you can. That means you need to restrain yourself and behave as you would in this environment. Imagine if the general population suddenly went, hang on a moment, there's someone who can actually nick the crown jewels off of the head in front of 10,000 people. Wow. No point in putting doors on our buildings anymore, is there? Just sort of give it all over right now. There's not much point in living. So we need to think about the repercussions that are going to have there. So the chaotic stupid player, for me, is someone who doesn't have any kind of reverence for anything other than their own self-indulgence. So, how do we work against being chaotic stupid? How do we avoid it? If I have been mentioning things and you go, oh, I do that sometimes. Yes, I do that too. How do we mitigate against that? Because there is a fine line. There is a very fine line between playing the character and the stats that go with it, and I've done videos where I have spoken about doing just that, and then taking it too far, and that's when you end up being chaotic stupid. So these are the ways that we play against chaotic stupid. It's restraint versus expression. Oh, my character grew up a thief, so I'm going to steal from everybody that I encounter. No, you're not. You wouldn't. You really, really, really wouldn't. If you think you can get away with it and that it won't harm the relationship in the future, sure, then do it. You steal from the merchant as you're leaving the town. Maybe that'll work because you've seen an opportunity that the others have created, and so you can now enact upon it. But if, and I challenge you to ask yourself this question frequently, if your character does something that is going to cause the other player characters a huge amount of grief and possible death/incarceration/trauma, the question is, would you do it? Would you really do it? I don't think you necessarily would. Because otherwise my friends would learn very quickly that I have the impulse to throw my coffee on their faces sometimes for a laugh. I don't, ever. But sometimes I would quite like to. It's called being human, restraint. The next question. So these 4 things you can tattoo somewhere on yourself so that you can remind yourself these are the things that cause you to be a better player. The narrative versus chaos. You are playing a role-playing game where arguably you are there for very many different reasons. Surely one of those reasons, though, is to have a good time whilst exploring a world, whilst role-playing a different character. If you are just bringing chaos, why are you there? What are you doing? Derailing the story? Is it really that fun for you? Is that what you want to do? You want a space where you can just go mad and just let loose and do all of the things that you wish you could do in real life, but that you actually can't. If that's the case, that's not role-playing. That's a form of self-expression. Maybe you should take up art. If it is going to derail the narrative, if it is likely to cause the narrative to fail, and I'm not talking about the grand plot of the GM, you don't have to care about that. That's not your responsibility. But if you are going to rob a tavern owner and then string him up by his tongue from the back room and let him drip dry so that you can have jerky the next morning, that is going to affect the narrative of the party. And it doesn't matter in which way it affects it. If you think that that's going to be great, then you have to shoulder and bear the consequences thereof. But if you think that that's going to cause the entire campaign to come to a grinding halt because the players have now been arrested for murder, it doesn't matter how good your persuasion skill is. Oh, we were completely innocent. Yeah, but it's your dagger in his tongue holding him to the ceiling. There was no one else in the tavern. Interesting. A show-off versus an artist. A show-off, yeah, look, I've got all these great skills. Oh, I'm crazy. I just kill stuff. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna. Every time you wake me up, I'm gonna slap you in the face because I'm just a violent character. That's a show-off. An artist is someone who's going to bring those motivations, that anger, that terror that the character has of waking up, or the thief who secretly sneaks in independently of everybody else and plays out a con or gets a thief, gets an item or steals an item, whatever it might be, who does it subtly and who does it so that it doesn't derail the party. That's an artist. That is someone who is using the mode, the hobby, to their advantage to tell a better story. They're still enacting all of their abilities, all of their compulsions. Oh, I must steal. I know I keep going back to the thieves stealing, but that frequently is the cause of big consternation in a lot of games, is the thief, the rogue goes, oh, I'm a rogue, I have to steal. Right. Group versus self. Role-playing is a group activity. I don't care what anybody else says. It is a group activity. There is other people involved in playing the game. If your action is selfish and will only result in the betterment or in the enjoyment of you because your character is doing something brilliant, you are not a role player. You are a role. You're not a player. Player implies that there is a team, there's a group, there is something to be played against. And that's not what you're doing. If it does not benefit the group, if it does not include the group, if it does not in any shape or form have anything to do with the group, if it is purely self, go play with yourself. Now, the rewards. Why? Why do I even need this section on the rewards of being a non-chaotic, stupid character? Well, there they are. You create a more complex character, something that is actually interesting and that has shades and tones, and you go, well, yes, you were a thief, and you enjoy being a thief. You enjoy stealing things from other people. You don't think about other people. And then having that character grow to the point that they don't steal anymore. That's an interesting character arc for a rogue. Kinda, if it wasn't so straightforward. But it is still an arc which wouldn't exist if you've still got a rogue who still steals things from people because they can. It's punctuated fun. If you're doing it all the time, oh God, there goes the thief stealing again. Yep, we're going to have to run away from this town because da-da-da-da-da. If you do it once or twice, but you do it in subtle and clever ways, people start to anticipate and enjoy your character doing their crazy, rather than kind of sigh and wish that the character just would die. It also creates an unpredictable character. So for all of those people who like to make these unique characters who've got low intelligence or who are compulsive kleptomaniacs or who are just violent, raging hormone bags, there is a certain very surface level character that's been created. A complex character is a character who has got far more to them than that. What motivates them? Why do they do it? How do they feel if they don't do it? And how do they express that to the rest of the party? How do they work as a team even though they want to be alone? I want to create a loner. Yes, I want to not have anyone nearby. But as a good player, you need to think about how and why your character would end up having people nearby. There is a reason. You need to find it, not just dismiss it as, oh, well, my character's a loner. It makes them more real. And that, for me, anyway, and the entire purpose of this channel, is one of our major goals, is to be able to create a character that is so memorable because they're faceted, they're flawed, they have issues, they overcome those issues, they're heroic, they're also failures. All of those things come together to create a real character, a desperate character, a character who is a hero within the fantasy world, but also one that lives in the mind. So that, for me, are the fundamentals of how to spot a chaotic, stupid character, whether that's you or your companions around the table, how to adjust so that you're not, and then how to make the most of it so that you can move out of being chaotic, stupid, and become someone who is planned stupid. Because that's so much better. It really is, as ironic as that sounds. Anyway, until next time, enough ranting and blood pressure raising from me. Don't be chaotic stupid. Be a decent player and a decent human being. Till next time, happy playing.